So I hope that this video title didn't come off as clickbaity. While it might be interesting to peruse the causes behind these theories, I will actually not be talking about the Illuminati, Grammy show rituals, pyramids, Bilderberg, Freemasonry, of which I am a member, sacrifice, or covering one eye. Much. We will be invoking, however, the specter of the demon. So before we get to summoning, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you know whenever we drop new content. This helps the channel out a great deal. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook where we can continue these conversations. This way we can learn more about some of the concepts and jargon we use, scholars mentioned, and explore Black imaginative production together. And lastly, if you so choose, support our Patreon. Our goal is to garner virtual but also actual space for continued group study and imaginative community building. I think that to serve this conversation well, we may need to revisit exactly what anti-Blackness is. Or maybe we need to think about what Blackness is, or rather, how Blackness is not. In a few other videos, I've mentioned how Blackness is without concept. Most often when we talk about anti-Blackness and how the Black person occasions anxiety, it obscures what anti-Blackness really is. Anti-Blackness most often refers to anti-Black racism, or the manifestations of the anxiety around Blackness that shapes the lives, experiences of everybody, but causes perpetual, gratuitous suffering for the darkest peoples on the planet. But anti-Blackness is prior to race, although it is implicated in the formation of race. We like to think of Blackness as what we call phenomenal, something experienced. But if we think about what Blackness actually is, let's take something like Musu Black, the blackest paint in the world. It absorbs so much light that we lose depth perception. When gazing on objects painted with it, the objects just appear to be a negative space, like shapes missing from existence. So Blackness can be said to be something that most of us have experienced, but technically, it's the lack of experience. Blackness might even be said to be prior to existence, as it has no source. Like all other colors and lights we can experience, it is that which not only does not have a source, but is the lack of sources. It's light we don't see that doesn't come back to us. It is the most abundant reality in our universe, and we seemingly can see that it's there or not, but we can't really say that we experience Blackness. We don't even know if we can approach understanding what Blackness is in and of itself. And this is what Immanuel Kant called noumenal, to differentiate from phenomenological. So in this way, Blackness represents a threshold that we can't yet go beyond, the limit of our creativity, our imaginative prowess, and our brilliance. So what do we do when we meet with something that we can't quite bring into the order of reason? We turn it into something that we can. To revisit an example I've used before, death is the cessation of life. It's when life is, well, no longer life. So it's not anything, but we've created lore around it. We've given death roles, desires, personalities, stories, a look, or a body. Likewise, we've done the same with Blackness. But instead of making it into something like a subject, we've made it into a realm that holds all of the things that scare us, that limit us, that are those negations, like death, that we need to bring into the structure and order of thought, reason. In many cultures around the world, death has traditionally been associated with the color white. However, in contemporary times, death is most often thought of as being dark, going into darkness, or a dark experience. I think that much of this has to do with the ways we create knowledge by creating binaries. If white is to mean all that is pure, innocent, and good, we must relegate everything that is the antithesis to that to Blackness. So this brings us to demons. those dark entities that pull us away from all good things. The word demon draws its etymology from the ancient Greeks, who, like many other ancient peoples, saw these entities as tutelary spirits. We might be able to say that they intervened in human affairs. They were the cause behind what we may now call genius. Moments of inspiration that produce thought, art, inventions, and other world or society altering change were thought to be their doing. In modern times, studying a goetic demonological text will quickly show you that many, if not most, demons have very mundane proclivities. Some help you find precious stones or metals. Some rule over lost things. Others help bring about understanding in arenas of thought like ethics. In other ancient cultures, demons were often neutral and could preside over experiences or hold knowledge. But now, through modern Abrahamism, we understand demons to be the cause of all evil and vice in the world. All that is wrong with the world can be represented by the realm of the demonic. So then why has secular black music always been sort of comfortable with both the devil and demons? Black music like blues, jazz, and rock has been called the devil's music because to ears more constrained by certain musical structures, the improvisation and the radical departures made to commonly accepted harmonic structures signaled a sort of descent into chaos, into formlessness. Moreover, the lyrical content sometimes tended toward the sexual and the criminal. As these genres evolved, this tie to the devil became more prominent, with legends of people selling their souls to the devil at the crossroads to gain unparalleled talent or fame. We didn't deny any of this. And I think that this may have been a sort of folkloric beginning to the theories behind the Illuminati and Grammy performance rituals. It should be noted that many spiritual entities in African traditions that are said to represent or be found at crossroads have, kind of erroneously, been called trickster spirits and were called the devil by Christians during the transatlantic slave trade. So once again, we see that parts of this alliance with the devil was imposed by a society that was literally hell-bent on not only imposing all negativity onto blackness, but then imposing that same blackness on the darkest peoples on the planet. But this is not that interesting to me. An anti-black world is going to do anti-black shit. What I'm more intrigued by is how black people, in music especially, lean into this affiliation with either the devil or demons. Whether it's Lil Nas X sliding down a stripper pole to give Satan a lap dance, Robert Johnson talking about the devil knocking at his door and him walking side by side with him, Jalacy screaming Jay Hawkins writing about putting a spell on you.
I don't care if you don't want me, I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you.
Or Young and Ace, the rapper, saying,
Y'all wishing death for me. Remember the night the devil crept on me.
placing oneself in league with the devil or the demonic serves a much higher or lower purpose. It allows the writer, singer, it allows our people to ask important questions about suffering or intervening on it. And maybe that is the allure of the dark. What do demons allow us to do that we can't if we are strict adherents to the pathways made legitimate by the forces of good? More than a few saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, and fire baptized Black Christian folk have spent time praying to have maladies, relationships, or situations with enemies fixed, but have also gone to the community root worker to assure the results. Several spirituals tell the story of suffering. I've been buked and I've been scorned. Oh, poor little Jesus, this world's gonna break your heart. I've been in the storm so long. Some come right out and ask God to explain the situation of suffering. Oh Lord, why come me here?
Lord, how come me? I wish I never was born. There ain't no freedom here, Lord.
current, however,
I wish
I'm not sure that I know of a spiritual wherein God answers back. I don't know of a spiritual that makes suffering for being born make sense. So then I'm sure a question that our ancestors wrestled with and that we should be and do wrestle with in our music is when God can't or won't answer our calls or intervene or at least explain our suffering, to whom or what do we turn? Or when God seems to be blessing the very people responsible for your suffering, what of the moral system put in place in the Bible? When the meek inheriting the earth never happens, or when you can be killed despite the prohibitions of murder in the commandments, because as Calvin Warren states, no sin comes from transgressing the slave. Can you rely on that system of morality? When society determines just how moral, righteous, and civilized they are by seeing what is the maximum amount of violence that they can lob at you while keeping you alive, what do you do? Where do you go? Or maybe the question I'm asking is goodness, righteousness, even God enough? What I'm proposing is that the demon that is invoked in Black music, even if only lyrically, allows us to question the basis of society's morals. In the case of artists like Lil Nas X and gangster drill, trap, and pain rappers, to embrace the demon or the devil is an embrace of the deviance that has already been foisted on them. When you must be yourself and when you must do what you need to survive. When society, acting as a god, has already determined who you are, where you are, and what you'll be, it is the demon that will allow you to question the authority of that society. The way the angels who became the demons questioned and went to battle with God. It is the demon who will also allow you to be the entity that enacts your desires. Vengeance is mine, do not repay, thus saith the Lord. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Some of you probably already know where I'm going with this. How much longer do we have to damn it wait? When does vengeance come? When do we see an intervention on our suffering? And if the answer is never, why? Within Protestant Christianity, it certainly seems like the nobility of long suffering is directly tied to the world's need for the longue durée of slavery. So when young people refer to themselves as on demon time, they are letting us know that they plan to be the primary actor in whatever course of action they've decided to take. And it's probably something considered deviant by an authority that doesn't deserve our obligation or obedience. All in all, I guess what I'm suggesting is not that we all turn to Satanism. I know that many of you who may be Abrahamic adherents might be slightly uncomfortable. Good. And I have my own gripes with atheism as yet another tool for inculcating white knowledge production and for being largely a white exculpatory project that still leaves out the Black. But I'm suggesting that the devil and demons, conceptually, need be engaged as that which questions the authority of all people and institutions and concepts that are given authority over us. It can be the realm of the deviant as we question whose existences are considered outside of society's structural or moral parameters. And in my estimation, it is the only way for us to grow comfortable with not trying to soften our most honest Black ass feelings. The devil asks us to give into our desires for retribution. If the Black is not a relational or political being, there is no appeal to politics or relating that can save us. The only agency we have is that which we realize through violence. And at that point, we are not negotiating, but destroying the very structures and authorities that could ever demand our negotiation. What if the devil and his ilk are the only entities that don't ask us to run from blackness or the dark, but to fall headlong into it, that won't judge us for engaging the state criminally, as the state has only ever terrorized us, for becoming every bit of fearsome as we know we can become? So what say you? What side do you choose? I'm genuinely interested in knowing. I'd love to hear your thoughts and would like to really encourage you to share these videos with your community. to dream up and begin the creative projects that we need to be taking up as Black people and those non-Black people willing to be authorized by Blackness. Join our Patreon to dream with us and our growing community, and comment below and subscribe to stay up with the conversation.